Hello and welcome to TVC News. First, our top stories tonight. Tanzania to launch district-level disaster management directorates. EALA challenges African researchers, demands problem-solving approach.
Our students, they go first for an internship for 4 weeks up to 6 weeks. They go to the society or to the industry to go and scope the really existing problem.
Good evening, I'm Agnes Tuniga. You can also follow us live on our YouTube channel, TVC Online, and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TVC Online. The government of Tanzania has announced the establishment of disaster management directorates at the district level, ending years of having such structures operating at the national level. Speaking during the commemoration of the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction 2025, the Prime Minister of Tanzania, Kassim Majaliwa, said the creation of district-level disaster management directorates will greatly improve the country's ability to respond swiftly to emergencies and disasters.
I urge all stakeholders to continue working together and investing in disaster management so that we can build a nation that is resilient and capable of responding effectively when disasters occur. Our goal is to restore stability whenever calamities strike and to ensure that Tanzanians are always prepared to face such challenges. Let us be ready to assist one another instead of causing further harm to those affected by disasters. We must also be willing to join hands in rescue efforts because through such unity and compassion, we demonstrate our true commitment to building a stronger and more caring nation.
On the other hand, the Climate Risk Management and Anticipatory Action Coordinator from United Nations, Sandra Hakim, reaffirms UN's continued commitment to supporting UN member states, including Tanzania, in strengthening disaster preparedness and response systems.
The Day for Disaster Risk Reduction reminds us of the imperative to fund resilience. Governments and donors must scale up investments in disaster risk reduction. The public and private sectors must integrate risk into every decision to reduce exposure and vulnerability to hazards. And resilience must be embedded into the foundation of development. These words ring true here in Tanzania, where various partners, including local government officials, community leaders, civil society, and the United Nations, international NGOs, work tirelessly to prepare, respond, and recover from natural disasters.
Tanzanian government continues to enhance its disaster management capacity by improving rescue infrastructure, empowering emergency response teams, and raising public awareness on disaster prevention and safety measures. Members of the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, urged the Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology to conduct research that focuses on solving real challenges facing people in Africa, especially issues related to the impact of climate change. Here are more details.
Members of the East African Legislative Assembly made the call during their visit to the Institute in Arusha, where the delegation was led by Dr. Mtala Makame from Tanzania on behalf of the Speaker of the Parliament as part of assessing the contribution of higher education institutions in stimulating regional development. Furthermore, the members of Parliament say many sectors in Africa are facing similar challenges, which require in-depth research to find answers that will help to improve the lives of the people.
Number one is that Africa needs a lot. How do you actually set your priorities for your research? How do you know which one? Because when you look at transport, it's an issue. When you look at democracy, it's an issue. When you look at technology, it's an issue. Everything is an issue. And we need to get to where we want to be very quickly. How do you set your priorities?
Another issue, and Africa generally is disproportionately affected by the climate change, especially our small-scale farmers who are struggling with unpredictable conditions of rain, droughts, and pests, and other related issues. So I didn't see that coming out. I thought, since this is the institution of science and technology, you would actually be engaging yourself in developing technologies that would address effectively some of these challenges facing our food producers in the rural communities.
On the other hand, the acting Vice Chancellor of the Nelson Mandela Institute of Science and Technology, Professor Anthony Mshendete, elaborates how all research carried out by the Institute aims to provide practical solutions to the challenges faced by the society.
For us, our students, they go first for an internship for 4 weeks up to 6 weeks. They go to the society or to the industry to go and scope the really existing problem. We have done that when we are having this program on the Center for ICT within the Eastern Africa. We are working with the Kira Motors, the Guineas here. They have their challenges, but once we produce the solution, they actually employ our students. So our model which we operate here is it is society and the industry-driven innovations. So you go and scope the challenge and the problem, then you come back to do the research, and then you go back. So our priority we set they are driven by that kind of an arrangement. I know it is different from other institutions.
The visit demonstrates the shared commitment between East African Legislative Assembly parliamentarians and higher education institutions in ensuring that science and technology are used as a key tool for bringing about changes and sustainable development in Africa.
The Chama cha Mapinduzi CCM vows to strengthen the transformational sectors of production, including agriculture, industry, and trade, which are key in generating employment opportunities, especially for youth. The pledge has been made during the party's campaign rally in Geita region, where the CCM presidential candidate, Samia Suluhu Hassan, insists upon re-election. Her government will fulfill the promise by prioritizing the construction of sunflower seed and fruit processing industries. Here's the report by Ngarayai Ole Kimosa, read by Kanki Mwaigomole.
The CCM presidential candidate Samia Suluhu Hassan is in Geita region. This is our second day, and here is Chato. The presidential candidate promises to prioritize community development.
Chato ni nyumbani kwa mpendwa wetu.
Chato is the home of our beloved, the late John Pombe Magufuli. In honoring this great leader, here within the Chato district, he left behind the regional hospital, which had just begun operations. However, we have made great efforts. We've allocated 48 billion, 44 million, and 400,000 shillings to complete that hospital entirely. Our plan is to also make this regional hospital a center of excellence for specialized and advanced cardiac treatment for the northern zone.
While in Geita city center, among her promises is improving the agriculture sector.
Lengo letu ifikapo mwaka 2030.
Our goal is that by the year 2030, the agricultural sector will have grown by 10% in its sectoral growth and contribute significantly to the national income, recognizing that the development of our economy depends on empowering individual farmers and their cooperatives.
Then she vows to transform Geita's industrial sector and the countries in general.
Tunakwenda kuanza na ujenzi wa viwanda vitakavyochakata mbegu za alizeti.
We are going to start the construction of factories for processing sunflower seeds in areas such as Nyaluanzaja, Bugoni, and Busanda, and in Nyakamwaga. We will establish fruit processing factories. We'll begin with the Igate area in Sangusira. Nationally, we aim to grow the industrial sector from its current growth rate of 4.8% to 9% by the year 2030.
Earlier in Nyawili Milwa and Katoro, the candidate promised to strengthen access to water and health services, including the purchase of medical equipment, as well as the construction of modern abattoirs. Kanki Mwegomole, TBC News.
The presidential candidate for NCCR Mageuzi Party, Amber Haji Amis, urged Tanzanians to come out in large numbers on October 29th to vote and elect leaders who will work with them to bring steer development for the next 5 years. Here's the report by Henry Mabumo, read by Teddy Mparanyanga.
As Tanzania's general election nears, the NCCR Mageuzi presidential candidate is holding his first campaign rally at Furahisha grounds in Mwanza City since being elected by his party. Speaking to the Mwanza residents, Amber Haji Hamisi has accused some people of participating in creating fear in the society.
Wanapewa pesa makusudi kwa makusudi mazito kuharibu jamii wa Tanzania.
They are being given money deliberately to destroy Tanzanians. Their families are not in the country, and some of them are not even here. They are spreading messages online claiming that they will be chaos on the 29th October just to deceive you. Fellow Tanzanians, do not fall for it.
He then raised his voice on the issue of those who plan to not turn out to vote or persuade others not to vote.
If someone is persuading others not to vote or chooses not to vote, that person does not support any progress in this country.
There's no president who comes into power with the intention of destroying the country or oppressing its people. Every president desires a good reputation for the nation, especially our current leader, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, who is committed to development and the peace of our country. Do not be deceived or misled. On the 29th of October, we will go out, cast our votes, and then return home peacefully.
The NCCR Mageuzi presidential candidate continues with campaigns in various parts of Mwanza region before heading to Mara region.
The Arusha Declaration, announced in 1967, marked a turning point not only for Tanzania but for the entire African continent. It was a bold statement of independence, a call for Africans to shape their own destiny through unity, equality, and self-reliance. Rooted in the principles of ujamaa and socialism, the declaration became a symbol of resistance against neo-colonial dependence and a blueprint for African dignity and self-determination. Faida Ngaga has more details.
What my father believed in socialism, the way I understand it, is that right after independence, most Tanzanians were uneducated and we're not all that wealthy, so we had to move together.
It was almost 6 years after independence. Tanzania was free, but underdeveloped, dependent, and unsure how to build a nation from the ruins of colonialism.
Mwalimu used to say that it's not new because that's how we live. You go to a typical Tanzanian village, a typical African village. We don't have these nuclear families, just the mother and the father and the children. We have lots of people living around. We help each other. So it's not really new.
To Nyerere, independence wasn't a flag or an anthem. It was the power to stand on your own feet. The Arusha Declaration was his answer, a blueprint for dignity through work, equality, and unity. The declaration introduced ujamaa, a Kiswahili word meaning familyhood. It was more than a policy. It was a belief that Tanzania could grow through cooperation, not competition.
You have to take in the values of socialism which we were trying to build in Tanzania, in any society. And those values are values of justice, a respect for human beings, development which is people-centered, development where you care about people. You can say, leave the development of a country to something called the market, which has no heart at all. Since capitalism is completely ruthless, who is going to help the poor?
From communal farms to free education and healthcare, Ujamaa sought to create a nation where no one was left behind.
Now, a concept that needed to be noted began after independence of Tanzania in 1961. And before that, the world in general grew with a lot of discussion, a lot of philosophizing kind of concepts that should be the human person. And a human being was still defined, being regularity, and questions to do with education, the value of education and the essence of it, the philosophical nature of economically of wealth accumulation and economic development was also another question around the human being.
Tanzania tried to prove that African socialism could work. But indeed, it was not easy. The 1970s brought droughts, oil crisis, and economic collapse. Ujamaa villages faced shortages, productivity fell. Critics called the Arusha Declaration a dream that failed. Decades later, the world begins to listen again. Today, when nations talk about African solutions to African problems, they echo the spirit of Arusha. When youth demand innovation, when communities rise through cooperation, they walk the same path Nyerere dreamed of. Faiba Ngaga, TBC News.
Mbeya Regional Police Commissioner Benjamin Kuzaga says Tanzania Police Force has taken all key measures to ensure peace and security during celebrations to mark the climax of the Uhuru Torch race, which this year will be marked hand in hand with commemoration of Nyerere Day and the National Youth Week. Speaking to TBC News, the Regional Police Commissioner urged citizens to collaborate with the police force to maintain peace and tranquility in the region, which has been honored to host key national commemorations this year.
So far, the torch has been successfully run through all 5 districts and the 7 local authorities of Mbeya region. In all these areas, peace and security have been well maintained through strong collaboration between the citizens, the police force, other security organs, and the various stakeholders. Tomorrow, on 14th October 2025, the Freedom Torch race will officially conclude here in Mbeya City. The ceremony will also mark Nyerere Day, the commemoration of the late Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, the father of the nation. Mbeya City has already received numerous guests, and we are expecting the arrival of several national leaders who will participate in this important national event marking the grand finale of the Freedom Torch race. Mbeya Region Police Force calls upon all residents of Mbeya City to continue cooperating with the police and the other authorities to maintain peace and security and order so that the celebrations can proceed smoothly and end peacefully. Furthermore, due to the high number of visitors already in the city and the other expected to arrive, the police advise all road users to strictly observe traffic rules and follow instructions provided by police officers to ensure the safe movements of official convoys and the general public. Mbeya Regional Police Force wishes to ensure all citizens that comprehensive security measures have been put in place to maintain peace and security throughout the Freedom Torch extinguishing ceremony and the event, and even after the event. However, the police will not hesitate to take firm legal actions against any individuals who deliberately violate the law or disrupt public order.
The 2025 Uhuru Torch theme is Come Forward and Participate Peacefully and Calmly in the 2025 general election, emphasizing civic participation and national unity ahead of the polls. The Uhuru Torch remains a key legacy of Tanzanians' independence, continuing to serve as a symbol of national unity and a driver of transparency, accountability, and social progress across the country. Member of the Zimbabwean Parliament, Sheikh Moore Timburwa, says the call for African youth to embrace Pan-Africanism remains as urgent today as it was when championed by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere and the continent's founding fathers. He made the remarks in Butiama while speaking to TBC News, noting that Pan-Africanism is not a concept meant to make Africans poor, but a vision that seeks to unite the continent, boost trade and economic cooperation, and harness Africa's resources for shared prosperity. Caroline Maleo has more details.
This is the land that nurtured one of Africa's greatest sons, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, a leader whose legacy of humility, integrity, and commitment to humanity continues to inspire the continent. Butiama, the serene village where he was born to Chief Nyerere Burito and Mama Christina Mgaya of Nyangombe, remains a place of reflection and national pride, the cradle of Tanzania's unity and independence. This week, as Tanzania and Africa mark October 14th, the anniversary of Mwalimu Nyerere's passing in 1999, Butiama once again becomes a center of remembrance, a symbol of peace, integrity, and African solidarity. Throughout October, people from across the world visit Butiama to honor the enduring legacy of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, and here they share how they remember the Tanzania's father of the nation.
Nyerere contributed to the liberation of most of the South African states, all those countries in South Africa, including South Africa itself, including Uganda. He formed the Liberation Committee at OAU at that time. So he contributed tremendously to the liberation of Africa. He is a good example of a true Pan-Africanist. And when we come here, we call upon him to remember and to dedicate himself and move forward to achieve that.
Live to remember him. He's a father, a founding father of Tanzania as a country. And not only did he do that, but he is a founding father of East African community and a founding member of the African Union.
He has focused on the people of Tanzania, but the entire Africa, and that's why in one of his quotes he says, let Tanzania delay its independence such that other African nations can get together with Tanzania.
On the other hand, Mwalimu Nyerere's son Madaraka Nyerere reflects on his personal memories of Mwalimu as his father.
As a parent, we recall having an individual, I'll say an individual, who made sure that whatever he did in his public life was not imposed on his family or on his children. So when we speak of Mwalimu, we speak of a parent who would come back home and totally switch from his public role to a family role.
On the other hand, Zimbabwean parliamentarian Sheikh Moore Timburwa calls on the youth to embrace and carry forward the spirit of Pan-Africanism that was championed by Mwalimu Nyerere and the founding fathers of other African nations.
Why we are having a low aptitude or uptake of the Pan-Africanism issue is simply because of one reason, like I was addressing in my discussion with the young people. We have made Pan-Africanism to be a philosophy that is not backed with production or productivity. It's now as if once one becomes a Pan-African, you have started living a life of just being a philosopher, but without substance to show for.
This is a place that different people from across Tanzania, across Africa, and across the world come to visit the graveyard of this hero, Pan-Africanist of the nation Tanzania, who fought not only for Tanzania's liberation, but also the liberation of other African countries. Reporting from Butiama, this is Caroline Meleo, TBC News.
As Tanzania marks 26 years since the death of the father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, various traditional leaders have shared their reflections on his legacy and their personal experiences with him. Our correspondent in Mbeya region spoke to some of the chiefs attending the climax of the Uhuru Torch race, which this year goes hand in hand with marking Nyerere Day and the National Youth Week celebrations.
Kazi kubwa aliyoifanya kutuunganisha Watanzania kwa kutumia lugha moja ya Kiswahili.
One of the greatest achievements of the father of the nation was uniting Tanzanians through the Swahili language. Today, I come from Nachingwea, yet here I am in Mbeya, among people from many different tribes, and we can all communicate and understand one another because of Kiswahili. During his time, Mwalimu also used the philosophy of Ujamaa, or African socialism, as a powerful tool to bring people together as one nation. These are the lasting results of his vision and leadership, building a united Tanzania free from tribal divisions.
Ukiangalia ni jinsi gani kwanza alivyofanya shughuli nyingi za kulikomboa bara la Afrika.
Mwalimu Nyerere worked hand in hand with fellow leaders to liberate the African continent. When he succeeded in freeing Tanganyika from colonial rule, he believed that the rest of Africa could also achieve independence, and he pursued that goal with great strength and courage. He also promoted the use of Kiswahili across Africa, believing it could unite Africans just as it united Tanzanians.
This year marks 80 years since the founding of the United Nations, an organization born out of the ashes of World War II with a mission to promote peace, security, and human rights across the globe. Around the world, countries are celebrating this milestone by reflecting on the UN's achievements and the challenges that still remain. TBC News has spoken to political analyst Issa Omar to understand the organization's contribution to developing countries' endeavors to achieve sustainable development goals.
The UN has been playing a crucial role in trying to ensure that the developing world achieves sustainable development goals. They started with the Millennium Development Goals in 2000 at the turn of the millennium during the United Nations Millennium Summit, where they adapted the 8 goals. And later on, around 2012, they did adapt these 17 global goals, which of course came into force around 2015. So it's the 15 years of promoting the inclusive, sustainable, as well as we are promoting also inclusive growth among these countries, particularly also addressing climate change. So the United Nations has supported these countries through various ways, whether directly through its specialized agencies, like the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, the United Nations, UNICEF, you have also WHO, World Health Organizations, but also through the Bretton Woods institution, like the International Monetary Fund, as well as the World Bank, which has been providing some of the concessional loans to these countries, particularly IDA, which is one of the institutions, it is a concessional loan arm of the World Bank, which provides concessional loans to low-income countries. And then you have also IBRD, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, has been providing. And some of the countries like Tanzania have benefited a lot from these loans from the World Bank. And some of them have been supporting climate change mitigation, resilience, and adaptation. Like, for instance, you had the Dar es Salaam BRT project, the Dar es Salaam Rapid Transit Project, which is funded by the World Bank from phase 1 maybe, and they expect to fund it in phase 6 and maybe phase 7 by extension. But also they're also funding Dar es Salaam Metropolitan Development Project phase 1 that's been completed. Now they are starting phase 2, trying to revamp the infrastructure of the city so that it can become resilient to the devastations caused by climate change.
With that item marks the end of our news bulletin for tonight. Don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. On behalf of the whole team throughout, I've been your host, Agnes Tuniga. Thank you very much for watching. Good night.
Yeah. TBC1.